The 2022 Bengals season is in the books. Let's, discuss the season and start moving forward. Yes, because that's really all you can do. Let's get into it right here on Cincinnati Bengals Talk. Hi again, everyone, and welcome in to Cincinnati Bengals Talk. I'm James Rapien of allbengals.com. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, ring the bell. We're back in Cincinnati. Yes, it was not the road trip that most of us were expecting. I know coming home, it was like, all right, this is when we were supposed to be finalizing the Phoenix trip and getting things ready and putting the finishing touches on it and all of those things. Heck, I had to delete my game story on allbengals.com that had the Bengals driving down for the game-winning score with 2:30 left. So that was odd. And there are many stories that do that, right? That hit the cutting room floor and that never see the light of day. But this one was certainly, it rivals that Super Bowl 56 one that was ever so close as well. And it was oddly the same score. Today's video brought to you by Rivertown Inquiry. Rivertown Inquiry has been awesome to us all season long for multiple seasons now. And whether it's the hats, which if you guys let us know, I will see if we can get some of those for sale, whether it's just hooking us up with these custom shirts. You got to check out rivertowninquiry.com. If you love the channel, make sure you check them out or go there in person on Madison Road, about 10 minutes from Paul Brown Stadium in Oakley. Or Paycor Stadium. Look at that. First mess up of the day. That said, let's dive into it. And look, this Bengals team, to me, and I talked about this on Locked On Bengals today, they met expectations. And that's tough to say after such a disappointing loss. And, basically the train is moving, the train is cooking, and you're thinking next stop is Phoenix, like I said, and then it just, boom, goes off the cliff. Or it stops in its tracks and suddenly you're sent home. Like, that's not the plan. That's not how it was supposed to go after winning a franchise record 10 straight games, after winning for the first time in franchise history back-to-back AFC North championships, after advancing in the postseason in back-to-back seasons for the first time ever, after winning road games in back-to-back postseasons. I mean, they're 5-2 in the postseason. 3-1 last year, 2-1 this year. There's a lot to be excited about. And what I think that my expectation of the Bengals this year was not necessarily get back to the Super Bowl. Now, once you get to the AFC title game, you certainly can change that, but it's really, really hard to get to that point. And so coming into the season, what did I want? I wanted the Bengals to establish themselves as an AFC powerhouse. When you think of the Chiefs, you think of the Bengals. When you think of the Bengals, you're thinking of the Chiefs. And they have. This isn't the Chargers. This isn't some upstart team like the Jaguars. This isn't some team that's hoping to catch lightning in a bottle like the Raiders. No. They made a run last year. They got hot. Some people called them a flash in the pan. Some people questioned Zach Taylor. Some people questioned Joe Burrow or the offensive line or the front office or the structure of the roster, all those things, and boom. Well, they did it again. And they made the Final Four again, and it's really, really, really hard to make it to that point. Does it suck that they didn't advance? Absolutely it does. But this Bengals team is one of those AFC powers. The other part of things that really, really suck, and it stinks, is a lot of these faces are going to be new, especially on defense. But you're going to see a lot of new faces, a lot of turnover. Last year it was Larry Ogunjobi. It was CJ Uzomah. That's it. Never really replaced Larry Ogunjobi. They could have used him for sure. Hayden Hurst did a heck of a job. We'll see if they retain him. But they're going to get younger in some spots. And Dan Horde pointed it out on his podcast, Bengals Booth podcast, that this Bengals team, the youngest in the postseason, which is awesome, but the defense isn't. Guys like Jesse Bates are likely to move on. Do they keep Von Bell? Do they not? We posted a really emotional interview with Von Bell after yesterday, and it was in the locker room after the game, and him and Jesse Bates. Can you keep one of them? I think Bates is gone, and I'm not sure about Von Bell. I think a duo of Von Bell and Dax Hill would be quite dynamic. I think that would be a pretty good safety room still. Corner is certainly a question mark. Does Eli Apple come back? You have a youngster in Cam Taylor-Britt that certainly flashed. You have a guy in Chidobe Awuzie coming back from an ACL. It takes some time. Even if he is ready, who knows how long it'll take for him to get back to that level that he was playing at, where he was just, and I think he will, because he's a freak. He's a freak athlete, Chidobe is. But How long will it take him to get back to that type of form? We'll see. There's a lot of question marks. And we'll dive into those more in depth. There's question marks about the coaching staff right now. Offensive coordinator Brian Callahan, defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo. Brian going to interview for the Indianapolis Colts head coaching job in person. It's a second interview. We'll see if he is a finalist for that job or not. They certainly have casted a wide net. They're interviewing a lot of guys a second time around. It might be as simple as, heck, let's bring him in for an interview since we haven't made a decision yet and we didn't get to talk to him in person because the Bengals were still playing. Now they're not. Let's talk to him. Might be the same case with the Arizona Cardinals. We'll see. But there's going to be some turnover. That doesn't mean that this team isn't built to continue to sustain success, and I think they certainly are. From Joe Burrow to Jamar Chase to T. Higgins, people are talking about T's future, to T. Higgins. Notice I mentioned him as part of the 2023 Cincinnati Bengals, and we can get into contracts and all of that, and we will. But I wanted to put a bow sort of on this season and sort of on what, at least 2 days out, what it's meant. And it's been another wild ride. It's been one of those things where we tried to bring you the best coverage despite, a lot of things personally, professionally, all those things going on and making the road trips and all of the stuff that goes into that. This Bengals team, they delivered. I hope we delivered. From Andrew Fox Miller to myself to Bengals on the Brain with Joe Goodberry, Elise Jesse's, the OT. We tried a lot of new things, and I think a lot of them worked, but just wanted to thank you for supporting, for watching, for liking, for sharing on social media, for interacting, all of the things that have happened. I mean, little did Andrew and I know when we really start this thing 2 years ago, and it hasn't even been a full 2 years, that it would take off like this, and that people would say CBT at Bengals games or yell Cincinnati Bengals talk, on the sidelines. And it's just been really cool. And so thank you so much for watching. And yet I'm excited about the future, much like the Bengals. It's the same. It's been a really fun 2 years, but I think it can get better. It's been a really cool run, but I think the best is yet to come. And I feel that way about the team. I think they've established themselves as one of the NFL's best teams, which is what my expectation was for them this season. I didn't know if they were going to win the Super Bowl. It's really, really hard to do. They're better than they were when they won the AFC, in my eyes. And they didn't win the AFC again. It's hard. It's tough. A lot of things need to go your way. A lot do. Or can't go against you. And it didn't happen this year. But really excited about the future. And with that, I do have to tell you about Fantasy Life, because I've told you a ton about them over the past month or so. And if you want to support the channel, you really need to check them out over at BetMGM. By using the link in the description, you can get your first bet of up to $1,000 paid back in bonus bets if you don't win. I get it. I know the Bengals aren't in the big game, but you're probably still curious about wagering on it. Well, it's really easy to do. All you have to do is use the link in the description, and you're going to get up to $1,000 in bonus bets if you don't win. As long as you're 21 or older and located in Ohio, it's that easy. And if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. If you want any other tips, by the way, tricks, anything like that, you could subscribe to the free Fantasy Life newsletter. That's the Fantasy Life newsletter at fantasylife.com. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, the Bengals, they put on a show, and they came up a little bit short, but you won't come up short today with BetMGM. Again, $1,000 in free bets, paid back, bonus bets. If you don't win, all you have to do is use the link in the description. It was a hell of a year, and I would be wrong if I didn't thank my wife and daughter, who, by the way, came to Kansas City. And it was fun. It was cool to have them there. And we were certainly, like I said, you got to plan in advance. You're going to be in Phoenix for 8 days. We were going to leave Sunday. Yeah, I mean, we had all that, most of it finalized. And so not this year. It would have been cool to have Quinn maybe, pose with one of those trophies. It didn't happen, but it was really cool. It's been a fun 2 years, but my wife has been awesome, from the travel to figuring things out and going on trips she can, and now Quinn going on trips she can. And so it was a really fun year. So I have to thank her as well for being understanding of doing this, because there's a lot that's involved in it, a lot that goes into it. And you don't just show up on game day, put it that way. So for Andrew Fox Miller, who obviously killed it all season long. We're not stopping, by the way. I just wanted to kind of put a bow and thank you on the season. Bengals on the Brain with Joe Goodberry's tonight at 8 o'clock. So don't worry. We're not stopping here on CBT. I'll have plenty for you. I'm sure I'll have more on the coaching news and coaching circuit, depending on what happens with Brian Callahan and Lou Anarumo. But we needed a final 2022 season video, and I feel like this accomplishes that. So for Andrew Fox Miller and everyone here with Cincinnati Bengals Talk, I'm James Rapien, signing off for now on CBT, Cincinnati Bengals Talk.